Okay, so we're going to be talking about 3.2 slope-intercept form. It should be kind of familiar since we've started it a little bit already. That's y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. The reason it's called slope-intercept form is because you need the slope and you need the y-intercept. Slope-intercept form. Okay, so remember your slope is the one that comes in front of your x, the y-intercept is the number that's by itself. Okay, so we're going to identify the slope and the y-intercept of each of the following. So my slope and my y-intercept. Slope comes in front of x, so that's 5. Y-intercept is the number by itself, which is negative 12. Slope, the number that comes in front of your x. Well, in front of my x is a negative, so that's the same as negative 1. So my slope is negative 1, the number by itself. The y-intercept is 3. Slope, the number in front of x. The number in front of x is a negative 2. My y-intercept is the number by itself, which is that 7. Okay, Tristan borrowed money from his parents to buy a new cell phone. The amount that Tristan owes his parents can be modeled by, and it gives me the equation, where m is the number of months that Tristan has been paying back his loan. What is the slope of this equation, and what does it represent? So usually the slope is the number in front of our x, but this case we're using an m, so my slope is negative 50. Okay, so remember m is the number of months, so it's going down by 50 every month. So that minus 50 every month would have to represent his payment. So I'm going to put, it represents that he pays his parents back $50 every month. What is the y-intercept? Remember, the y-intercept is the number that's by itself, which is this 250. So notice we're starting at 250 and we're taking away 50 every month. So this 250 is going to represent how much he borrowed from his parents to begin with. It represents that he borrowed $250 to begin with. All right. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be writing equations in slope-intercept form. So remember that's y equals mx plus b form, given the slope and given a point. Well, I know my slope is my m, but I still need to find the b, the y-intercept. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in for my y, my m, and my x to solve for b. Okay, you can use any point to find your y and your x. So the first number is your x, the second number is your y. So my y is negative 7, my slope is 5, times x, which is negative 1, plus b. Now we just have to solve. Negative 7 equals negative 5 plus b. Add 5 to both sides, so I have b equals negative 2. All right, so my equation, y equals my slope, which is 5x. Your y-intercept is negative 2, so I'm going to put minus 2. All right, so our y-intercept. Your y-intercept is the y value, which is negative 2, when x is 0. Okay, now we're going to find our x-intercept, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to use our graph, and I want to graph the equation that we found here. So, adding a graph, we're going to graph 5x minus 2, and I am going to use trace. So menu 5, 1, and notice it pops up on the y-intercept. I want to figure out the x-intercept, which is right here where it crosses the x-axis. So I'm going to use my over arrow key until it lands right on top of it. Notice that when it did that, notice that it says 0 pops up. X-intercept and the word 0 are the exact same thing. So my x-intercept, aka my 0, is 0.4, comma, 0. So your x-intercept is the x value and y is 0. So remember, to find that we graphed and we used trace. Okay, so we're trying to write an equation, y equals mx plus b. We know my slope is m. We know that we can use any point to find an x and a y value. So let's plug in. So I have 5 equals, my slope is -1 times x, which is 2, plus b. So let's solve. 5 equals -2. My plus b drops down. Going to add 2 to both sides. So I have b equals 7. So let's write our equation. Y equals, my slope is -1. Always put x behind it. My y-intercept, my b, was a positive 7. Notice, you will never see a multiple choice answer written this way. It'll always look like this. -x plus 7. Okay, so y-intercept, these printed wrong, so make sure you add y-intercept down here. Or maybe I already did it, I don't remember. Okay, so y-intercept is your b, which we found is 7. So let's write it in a coordinate. Remember, it's your y value when x is 0. Okay, to find my x-intercept, remember we are going to graph and use trace. So I'm going to go graph -x plus 7. -x plus 7. Trace, which is menu 5-1. Notice it pops up right away on your y-intercept. That should match what we wrote down. The x-intercept is right here on the x-axis, so I'm going to use this arrow key until I get over there. Remember, the word 0 will pop up because 0 and x-intercept are the same thing. Boom, I'm there. So 7, 0. Go away. Okay, so 7, 0. So I know that the x-intercept is the x value when y is 0. Oops, sorry. All right, keep moving. Okay, so this time, instead of giving us the slope, it gives me 2 points. So we're going to have to find our slope first and then solve for b. So remember, to find slope, we know that y is rise. My y goes on top, the x goes below it. My y goes on top, the x goes below it. So once we have it set up, I like to use the calculator so I don't make any mistakes. I'm going to open a calculator page, and on top it said 3 minus 6. On bottom it said 4 minus 5. So I got a slope of 3. So this is my slope, my m. Okay, so I'm going to have y equals mx plus b. You can use any point. I'm going to use this first point for my x and y. So my y is 3. My slope was also 3. X is 4 plus b. Let's keep solving. So 3 equals 3 times 4 is 12 plus b. I need to subtract 12 from both sides. That's going to give me -9. All right, so now I know my y-intercept and I know my slope. I can write my equation. Y equals 3x. My y-intercept is a -9. All right, we already found out our y-intercept. So my y-intercept is -9, the y value when the x is 0. So remember, in order to find your x-intercept, we're going to use graph and trace. So now I'm graphing 3x minus 9. 3x minus 9. And I'm going to use trace. Okay, automatically pops up on your y-intercept. We are trying to get to our x-intercept, which is right here. So I'm going to use my over arrow key until I land on there. Remember, the word 0 will pop up. So that's 3, 0. So we know that our x value is 3, our x-intercept is with the x value and y is 0. Okay, so it didn't give us slope, so we have to find slope first, then we have to solve for b. So remember, y's rise, but we start with the fraction bar with minuses on top and bottom. So the y rises, so if 3 goes on top, I have to put that negative 1 underneath it. Okay, take your y, which is 1, I have to put it on top. That negative 3 has to go below it. Okay, from here we type it in exactly as we see it so we don't make any silly mistakes. And then, so I'm going to press Control Divide. On the top I have 3 minus 1. On the bottom I have negative 1 minus negative 3. And that comes out to be a positive 1. Alright, so that's our slope. That's m. Alright, so y equals mx plus b. You need any point to plug in for x and y, so I'm going to choose the first one. Y is 3, m is 1, x is negative 1. So I have 3 equals, multiply 1 times negative 1 is negative 1, plus b. Add 1 to both sides. So I have 4 equals b. So now that we have our slope and our y-intercept, let's write our equation. Y equals 1x plus 4. Remember, you will never see your answer choice written this way. It'll always be written as x plus 4. Alright, so we already found our y-intercept, which is 4. So you write that as 0, 4, because it's the y value when x is 0. To find our x-intercept, we're going to graph and trace. So I'm going to graph, let's see, x plus 4, and trace, so menu 1. Okay, notice it's automatically on the y-intercept. We're trying to get to the x-intercept, which is over here, so I'm going to use this arrow key until I find there. Remember, 0 will pop up. Boom, found it. So I'm going to write that down. Negative 4, 0. Because your x-intercept is the x value and y is 0. Alright, the back should be quite a bit of a review, so I want you to try 4 and 5 on your own. Alright, bye guys.